Hello, welcome to Dog Food with Katherine Abel, telling stories about dogs that feed the mind and spirit. I'm going to read you the story of Phaeton by Ovid, O-V-I-D, adapted from Thomas Bullfinch. Excuse the mispronunciations if they happen. Phaeton was the son of Phoebus Apollo and the nymph Clymene. One day a schoolfellow laughed at the idea of his being the offspring of a god, and Phaeton went in rage and shame to his mother. "If I am indeed of heavenly birth," he said, "give me some proof of it." "Go and ask your father yourself," Clymene replied. "It will not be hard. The land of the sun lies next to ours." Full of hope and pride, Phaeton traveled to the regions of the sunrise. The palace of the sun stood reared on lofty columns, glittering with gold and precious stones, while polished ivory formed the ceilings and silver the doors. Upon the walls Vulcan had represented earth, sea, and skies with their inhabitants. In the sea were the nymphs, some sporting in the waves, some riding on the backs of fishes, while others sat upon the rocks and dried their sea-green hair. The earth had its towns and forests and rivers and rustic divinities. Over all was carved the likeness of the glorious heaven, and on the silver doors were the 12 signs of the zodiac, 6 on each side. Clymene's son climbed the steep ascent and entered the halls of his father. He approached the chamber of the sun, but stopped at a distance, for the light was more than he could bear. Phoebus, arrayed in a purple vesture, sat on a throne which glittered as with diamonds. On his right hand and his left stood the day, the month, and the year, and at regular intervals the hours. Spring stood with her head crowned with flowers. Summer stood with garment cast aside, and a garland formed of spears and of ripened grain. And there too were autumn, her feet stained with grape juice, and icy winter, his hair stiffened with hoarfrost. Surrounded by these attendants, the sun, with the eye that sees everything, beheld the youth dazzled with the novelty and splendor of the scene. "What is the purpose of your errand?" he asked. "O light of the boundless world," the youth replied, "I beseech you, give me some proof that I am indeed your son." He ceased, and his father, laying aside the beams that shone all around his head, bade him approach. "You are my son," he said, embracing him. "What your mother has told you is true. To put an end to your doubts, ask what you will, and the gift shall be yours. I call to witness the dreadful river Styx, which we gods swear by in our most solemn engagements." Many times Phaeton had watched the sun riding across the sky, and he had dreamed of what it would be like to drive his father's chariot, urging the winged horses along their heavenly course. Now he realized his dream could come true. "I want to take your place for a day, Father," he cried at once. "Just for one day. I want to drive your chariot across the sky and bring light to the world." Instantly the son realized the foolishness of his promise, and he shook his radiant head in warning. "I have spoken rashly," he said. "This is the only request I would deny. I beg you to withdraw it. You ask for something not suited to your youth and strength, my son. Your lot is mortal, and you ask what is beyond a mortal's power. In your ignorance, you aspire to do what even the other gods themselves may not do. None but myself may drive the flaming car of day. Not even Jupiter, whose terrible right arm hurls the thunderbolts, would try it." "The first part of the way is steep," the sun continued. "So steep that even when the horses are fresh in the morning, they can hardly make the climb. The middle part of the journey takes me high up in the heavens, and I can scarcely look down without alarm and behold the earth and sea stretched beneath me. The last part of the road descends rapidly and requires the most careful driving. Tethys, the ocean's wife, who is waiting to receive me, often trembles for me lest I should fall headlong. Add to all this, the heaven is all the time turning round and carrying the stars with it. I have to be perpetually on my guard lest that movement, which sweeps everything else along, should also hurry me away. Suppose I should lend you the chariot, what would you do? Could you keep your course while the sphere was revolving under you? Perhaps you think there are forests and cities, the abodes of gods, and palaces and temples along the way. On the contrary, the road runs through the midst of frightening monsters. You pass by the horns of the bull, in front of the archer, and near the lion's jaws, and where the scorpion stretches its arms in one direction and the crab in another. Nor will you find it easy to guide those horses, who snort fire from their mouths and nostrils. I can scarcely govern them myself when they resist the reins. Beware, my son, lest I be the donor of a fatal gift. Recall your request while yet you may. Do you want proof that you are sprung from my blood? I give you proof in my fears for you. Look at my face. I would that you could look into my heart, and there you would see a father's cares. Look about you, and ask for anything from all the riches of the earth or sea. Ask, and you shall have it. But I beg you not to ask this one thing. It is destruction, not honor you seek. You shall have it if you persist. I swore the oath, and it must be kept. But I beg you to choose more wisely. He ended, but his warning did no good, and Phaeton held to his demand. So having resisted as long as he could, Phoebus at last led the way to where the lofty chariot stood. Its wheels were made of gold, its spokes of silver. Along the yoke every kind of jewel reflected the brightness of the sun. While the boy gazed in admiration, the early dawn threw open the purple doors of the east and showed the pathway strewn with roses. Phoebus, when he saw the earth beginning to glow and the moon preparing to retire, ordered the hours to harness the horses. They obeyed, and led the steeds from the lofty stalls, well fed with rich ambrosia. Then the sun rubbed his son's face with a magic lotion, which made him able to endure the brightness of the flame. He placed the crown of rays on his head and sighed. "If you insist on doing this," he said, "at least heed my advice. Spare the whip and hold the reins tight. The steeds need no urging, but you must labor to hold them back. Do not take the straight road through the 5 circles of heaven, but turn off to the left. Avoid the northern and southern zones, but keep within the limit of the middle one. You will see the marks of the wheels, and they will guide you. The sky and the earth both need their due share of heat, so do not go too high, or you will burn the heavenly dwellings, nor too low, or you will set fire to the earth. The middle course is the safest and best. Now I leave you to fortune, who I hope will plan better for you than you have for yourself. Night is passing out of the western gates, and we can delay no longer. Take the reins, or better yet, take my counsel and let me bring light to the world while you stay here and watch in safety." But even as he was speaking, the boy sprang into the chariot, stood erect, and grasped the reins with delight, pouring out thanks to his reluctant parent. The horses filled the air with their fiery snortings and stamped the ground impatiently. The barriers were let down, and suddenly the boundless plain of the universe lay open before them. They darted forward and sliced through the clouds into the winds from the east. It wasn't long before the steeds sensed that the load they drew was lighter than usual. As a ship without ballast careens and rolls off course on the sea, so the chariot was dashed about as if empty. The horses rushed headlong and left the traveled road. Phaeton began to panic. He had no idea which way to turn the reins, and even if he knew, he had not the strength. Then, for the first time, the big bear and the little bear were scorched with heat, and would have plunged into the water if possible. The serpent, which lies coiled around the pole, torpid and harmless in the chill of the heavens, grew hot and writhed in angry fury. When the unhappy Phaeton looked down upon the earth, now spreading in the vast expanse beneath him, he grew pale, and his knees shook with terror. In spite of the glare all around him, the sight of his eyes grew dim. He wished he had never touched his father's horses. He was borne along like a vessel driven before a storm, when the pilot can do no more than pray. Much of the heavenly road was behind him, but much more still lay ahead. He found himself stunned and dazed, and did not know whether to hold the reins or drop them. He forgot the names of the horses. He was horrified at the sight of the monstrous forms scattered across the heaven. The scorpion, for instance, reached forward with its 2 great claws, while its poisonous stinger stretched behind. Phaeton's courage failed, and the reins fell from his hands. The horses, when they felt the reins loose on their backs, dashed headlong into the unknown regions of the sky. They raced among the stars, hurling the chariot over pathless places, now up in the high heaven, now down almost to earth. The moon saw with astonishment her brother's chariot running beneath her own. The clouds began to smoke, and the mountain tops caught fire. Fields grew parched with heat, plants withered, and harvests went up in flames. Cities perished, with their walls and towers, and whole nations turned to ashes. Phaeton beheld the world on fire, felt the intolerable heat. The air was like the blast of a furnace, full of soot and sparks. The chariot glowed white-hot and veered one way, then another. Forests turned to deserts, rivers ran dry, and the earth cracked open. The sea shrank and threatened to become a dry plain. 3 times Neptune tried to raise his head above the surface, and 3 times he was driven back by the fiery heat. Then Earth, amid the smoking waters, screening her face with her hand, looked up to heaven and in a trembling voice called on Jupiter. "O ruler of gods," she cried, "if I have deserved this treatment, and it is your will that I perish with fire, why withhold your thunderbolts? Let me at least fall by your hand. Is this the reward of my fertility? Is it for this that I have given fodder for cattle, and fruits for men, and incense for your altars? And what has my brother Ocean done to deserve such a fate? And look at your own skies. The very poles are smoking, and if they topple, your palace will fall. If sea, earth, and heaven perish, we fall into ancient chaos. Save what remains from the devouring flame. Take thought and deliver us from this awful moment." And overcome with heat and thirst, Earth could say no more, but Jupiter heard her and saw that all things would perish if he did not quickly help. He climbed the highest tower of heaven, where often he had spread clouds over the world and hurled his mighty thunder. He brandished a lightning bolt in his hand and flung it at the charioteer. At once, the car exploded. The mad horses broke the reins, the wheels shattered, and the wreckage scattered across the stars. And Phaeton, his hair on fire, fell like a shooting star. He was dead long before he left the sky. A river god received him and cooled his burning frame. I love that story. I don't know why. It's just wonderful. It's very compact, but boy, does it pack a punch, right? It totally packs a punch. About impetuosity and the lack of prudence in making decisions. Because every decision we make, for better or worse, it affects everyone around us, okay? It affects your husband, it affects your wife. It affects your yard even. It affects your car note. It affects the menus you plan for your weekly eating adventures. All of our decisions affect much more than just us. So we've got to make good decisions. We've got to be wise. We are the stewards here on this planet, in this universe, right? Because we're venturing into it. So we're the stewards there as well. To be a steward means to care for something. So are we going to be good stewards or bad stewards? Are we going to act with wisdom, born of patience and careful thought? are we going to act with instantaneous satisfaction of what we want, not thinking the consequences, not thinking of the consequences, and even the benefits, right? It's not all consequences, sometimes the benefits. And you got to say, there are a lot of benefits because we're trucking right along. Our earth has not exploded. It's not going to, but we've got to pick up our game as far as our stewardship is concerned. My wonderful fantasy of love having 4 healthy puppies was dashed yesterday. She went into labor, which I thought she was going to go into labor in August, right? I mean, what do I know? So I wonder if she had been out. I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened. We went in Tractor Supply the other day, and God, man, a pregnant dog, they're not attractive. They're not attractive. So we were in Tractor Supply checking out, and there were a couple of small children, and she went up to them, and the way she acted, I knew that she came from a home with small children, because I could tell by the way that she was acting toward these little girls. I could just tell. So the people who dumped love taught their children what they perpetuated this mess we got going on here in Louisiana. Because they taught their kids, hey, I wonder what happened. It's like, oh, she ran off. Or no, just leave the gate open. She's in heat. I have no idea, because she was way far along, much farther along in her pregnancy than I assumed, because I'm thinking August. No, she had 10 puppies yesterday between 1 p.m. and she finally finished at 9. And 3 of them would be dead if I had not been there to assist. And it wore her out. It wore her out. And what did I do? I did a kiddie pool. I did a kiddie pool with, plenty of towels. And thank goodness I had 1,000 towels, because I needed every single one. I felt like I was running a camp, for a summer camp for kids. That's how much washing I did yesterday. Washing. I also ate a lot of chocolate and wheat Triscuits for some reason. Love, man, she did it. She did it. There was one, I named him Brutus. I don't know if he's a male or female, but he would not suckle. He would not suckle. And boy, I kept trying. Finally, he did. Finally, I'm like, this is not happening. Nobody's dying in this litter. Nobody. And then there was one, I don't know what was good, because she's only 10 months old. She's a puppy having puppies. And one almost strangled on the way out. He or she had to be, massaged back into life. And then there was another one that was just weak, had to be massaged back into life. And then the 10th one came out like a champ, was ready to go. I'm like, this one had so much energy, he or she almost took off walking. But I don't know if they're male or female. I have not been handling them. I did help her dry them off. Had almost so much afterbirth on my hands. I didn't even know blood. Then I had to get up one time, like going down. I thought, oh, she's done. I'm like, it's 7. It's over. She's done. No, actually it's 6. I was like, it's done. Okay, great. No, it kept on coming. And that was not fun watching her. She was in pain. Contractions are very painful. They don't feel good. Ask any woman who's had children. Ask her if they feel good. If she would like to be driving her car, listening to some music, and have a bunch of contractions. If she could just go, hey, today, I want to have a bunch of contractions. Ask her and see what she says. See if she wants to have those every day. Like before she goes to sleep, I want to have some contractions. If I could do that, that'd be great. See what she says. That was not fun watching her do that. 10-month-old puppy. But boy, she licked them. She's a good mama. 10 puppies. Are you kidding me? So, you know what that means? That means not one dog was dumped. That means 11 dogs were dumped. 11 dogs were dumped. And there were also, and the parents taught their children how to do it, how to get rid of your unwanted dog. Here's how you handle it. Dogs in heat, here's how you do it. Watch mom and daddy. Here's how you handle it. But she's just great. And yes, I am keeping my dogs away because let me tell you something. Some dogs are weird and they will kill a puppy as soon as you take a breath in. My big black dog almost was killed by a big dog when she was little, when she was very little. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't put it past that one. I don't put it past any of them. And I know how fast they are. Especially the pit. I know how fast she kills. I've seen her. And she's unbelievably fast. I mean, she can kill a raccoon as big as she is in about 1 second. I've seen her do it. So they are not coming around the puppies. No way, no how. They're not getting near those puppies. They're almost all completely jet black. Silky, silky coats. Silky, silky coats. Some of them have a little bit of white on them. There's one that has a white cross on his or her chest. She sure does. He or she. White cross. How about that? She's a good mama. She's a fantastic mama. But I'm certainly looking forward to her getting her figure back and getting her spayed as quickly as is healthy for her. I got to look into that. I mean, I got to see about that. Because she's wonderful. This dog is absolutely wonderful. I can't say enough nice things about this dog. But dumping is something that dumping dogs is something that we're professionals. If you want to know how to dump a dog, you just can come to Louisiana and ask us, and we can tell you. We have a lot of methods. We do it a lot of different ways. One of them is like that, just, I don't know, letting the dog out or driving down and letting her out. She jumped out of the car on her own, or maybe you told her to go fetch something, and she ran after it. She got black lab in her. She got a hound in her. She's going to go fetch. Trust me. Another thing that we do when we want to get rid of our unwanted dogs that we chose to bring into our homes is we take them to dumpsters. Union Parish is legendary for dumpster dogs. And I'm talking, these are not dumpsters where you go and it's attractive. These are jacked up slop hog dumpsters that have been beaten by trucks smashing into them when they're unloading their recliners that are vomiting the innards. Old sofas that they get thrown out, but guess what? It wasn't a good throw, so it landed on the other side of the dumpster, leaning up against it. Yeah. And then sometimes you need a 4-wheel drive to get to the dumpsters. Our dumpsters around here are not, I mean, you wouldn't take pictures of them and then you wouldn't be prompted to look at that photo and go, I'm going to paint a series of award-winning watercolors of these dumpsters. That's not what would happen. You wouldn't win any awards with those paintings. I'm telling you right now. But yeah, I mean, you can go into Union Parish and go to a dumpster and you'll see they'll come peeking out. Maybe you're lucky that day out from between a cave of water coolers, sofa cushions, and shower chairs, 4 or 5 puppies. This is incredibly common. I mean, what is the person thinking? These puppies are going to be able to just do fine. They're dogs. They can hunt. Well, I just want to tell you something. Dogs, they have to be taught to hunt. Feral dogs who live in the wild and are adept hunters, they are taught by their parents how to hunt. Domesticated dogs do not know how to hunt for food. No one teaches them. They have no teachers. So they don't know how to hunt for food. I mean, at the dumpster, what are the puppies doing? What are the puppies doing there? How are they eating food? And I'm going to tell you something. You wouldn't believe the people who go to the dumpster, see the little puppies, dump their trash, and drive off. I'm not kidding you. We do it like nobody's business. Like nobody's business. We have 16 high kill shelters here in Louisiana. 16. This is according to the data on Best Friends. They do a lot. What is it? bestfriends.org. And they're hoping to go no kill by 2025. Does anybody in Louisiana see that happening? No. Of course not. We got 16 high kill shelters here. And here's another piece of news which is interesting. Only 80% of the shelters are reporting data. Why aren't the other 20% reporting the data? This Best Friends, these are some good folks. You got a lot of resources there. I'm not kidding you. They got a bunch of money. They got a bunch of smart people up in there who can help you try to figure it out. But 20% of us are going, we're not doing it. We're not taking your wisdom. We're not going to learn anything. We've been doing it this way forever. We're going to continue to. We got to figure this out. And I think this is data. Yeah, this is for last year, just to let you know. Because, I mean, I kind of knew. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. Almost 98,000 animals. Cats, they do cats and dogs. So they don't even count hogs, chickens, and horses. They're not even counting those animals. So 98,000 entered. Almost 12,000 were killed. 12,000. That's, if you imagine, that would mean all the dogs and cats in Rayville, Lake Providence, Oak Grove, Delhi, Bastrop, Epes, Bonita, Pioneer, Marouge. That's no animals there, no dogs or cats. Or look at it another way. Imagine those places without any humans. If you would go through there, driving through, and imagine no humans. No humans at all in Rayville, Lake Providence, Oak Grove, Delhi, Bastrop, Epes, Bonita, Pioneer, and Marouge. Yeah. And of the 98,000 that were, turned into shelters, imagine these cities without any humans. Sterlington, Monroe, Alexandria, and Bastrop. Imagine them without any human beings, no life. No life. I mean, they're saying almost 12,000, but let me tell you something. These people do not live in the South. They don't know us. They don't know how we roll down here. And that is a very conservative number because that's only shelters. That's not counting all the animals we're doing away with in our backyards. And believe me, it's done with impunity. I was okay. Hold on, something. I got an animal here. I got to go see what's going on. Somebody was crying. They had to get up in there and did back to suckling. I'll tell you something. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this because it's not too graphic. It only involves sound. I was down south of Winsboro. I can't think of what that town was. It's the town where you go in and they have the crepe myrtles. It's a 4-lane highway and they've got all those crepe myrtles. You know which one I mean. Well, I was out at this property and I heard this dog. This is inside city limits, okay? This was not at the police station. This was not at the shelter. The shelter was not back there because believe me, this happens at shelters. This is the way we do it. I'm telling you right now, like those 20% that are not reporting, this is the way I'm telling you. So there was this dog barking. And this dog was barking at a human. It was barking at a human. You can tell. I mean, you get to where you know dogs, you know what their barks sound like, even if you don't even know the dog. And so this human, whoever this human was distressing that dog. And then, pow, you hear a gunshot. No more barking. Right there in city limits. And I looked around and nobody batted an eye. Because that's what we do. That's what we do here. We really don't have any regard for our companion animals. We don't. We don't. And that's why I'll tell you something. That's why I'm doing this, because this is something that we can fix this. We can totally fix this. Unlike child abuse, I worked at an agency and we had to deal with child abuse. And child abuse is a boogeroo because you know why? Because the parents get the kid to lie. So if you know what's going on if the parents get the kid to lie, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you've got to gather. And you know how hard it is to gather evidence at that point if they got the kid brainwashed into lying? You can't. I mean, you can't. And so you can't, and nobody can, and it takes, in order to remove a child from an abusive situation, it takes almost 2 years to do it. And so in that 2-year period, that kid's still living in that situation. With a dog, the sheriff or the police can jerk that dog out of that home immediately. Immediately. That's why we can end all this stuff. We can totally end it. We can end it. And I don't understand that either. If you see your dog or cat as a living, thinking, breathing, feeling, problem-solving being, how is it that you don't see your neighbor's dog as such, which indeed he or she is, the cat or the dog or the chicken or the rabbit? They are. My pet punctured her front paw, and she was limping around. Listen, if that dog, if a pit starts, hold on, I got somebody crying. I got to go see what's going on. Okay, so if a pit bull is limping, that pit bull is in extraordinary pain, because that breed of dog can tolerate pain like nothing I've ever seen in my life. So believe me, if I see her limping, it's fast acting. So she punctured her paw. And so she had to get off. She couldn't walk anymore. I had to put her in the crate so she couldn't walk. And I had to put the cone on her. Okay. I mean, I had to do it. It was like, what was it, 5, 6 days with the cone and in the crate. And I had to lug her around the yard because she couldn't walk. It was, but anyhow, her foot's all better now. But one day when I took, and we just don't even, I tell you, you just even, I mean, we don't even realize, we just don't even realize how connected to us that they are. And so anyhow, I took the cone off and I'm like watching her. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to have to go out there and whatever. Got up. And so she was walking around the yard and I came, I don't know what I was doing. I don't know, maybe lifted my head up and I happened to look at her. And she had such an expression of delight on her face, like she missed me so much and she hadn't seen me in a while. And then I got her and hauled her onto the front porch. I feel guilty about putting her in the crate, but you know what? She got to get well. And that cone, because she is a licking, man. She lick, 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 lick. And I sat down and she just came on my lap like she hadn't seen me in days. So much, and it was just so much gentle affection. It was not out of control, playful. It was this sincere, profound affection that she missed me. I knew it. I'm like, I mean, there are so many levels to dogs and cats. And listen, you people up north, you're listening to me and you're going, this lady's an idiot. You know what? I am an idiot. Because I'm learning, because the way I was reared, I mean, a dog died, you went and got another one. The dog ran and got run over. Did we put a fence up? No. We just got another one. That I was reared like that. We had no regard for animals. We did not growing up. They were like rocks. We didn't. I didn't know. I'm serious. So I've had to I've had to learn this as as animals have come into my life, particularly dogs. You know, especially dogs, because they have been, which is so weird. They have always been a huge part of my life. And now even more so since I'm writing about them. You know, my book, The Depth of Dogs, it talks about how dogs feel. And in my book, Wonder Bringers, I mean, I'm writing about them, thinking about them, which causes me to observe them very, very closely like a scientist. All dogs and cats, wherever I go, I look at them. I don't know why we don't see them. I don't know why we don't see them. I'm glad I do now. I'm so glad I do. I'm seeing more and more. I'm learning all levels. I mean, and I'll tell you something. They're profound, and they're like us. We limitless, what they can teach us. They truly are. And they love us. They love us like we love another human being. Like one human being loves another human being. Dogs love us, but my gosh, probably even deeper, because we discard humans like almost as much as we discard dogs. But they love us and get attached to us. I got to thinking about that lady walking in the High Kill shelter with her dog on a leash. I mean, honey, she had her driver's license out. She's ready to roll. I'm putting this dog. We're full. You know what? Whatever. And this dog was a big old brown dog, about 70-pound dog. Those dogs do not get adopted out. They're like the last ones to get adopted out. That's why the dogs here that's why our shelters are packed to the gills with big dogs primarily, because those dogs don't get adopted. And so we know what happens to them, right? I mean, 12,000. We know what happens to at least documented 12,000. That's not counting the others who are handled by their families, taken care of in that way. There's this park in I think it's in Dallas. There's this rescue, TAO, DAO, the abandoned ones. And all this lady does, I can't remember this park. All this lady does is this park is famous for dumping dogs. I mean, these people just go dump dogs there. And they dump them with their crates and their beds and their toys. I don't know. I don't understand that inability to not see, to not and not to want, and you don't want to see. You don't want to see. I don't even know if it's that. I don't think it's that. It's just, I don't know. Something happens. That's what happened to me in my life. That dog on the side of the road that was starving to death and had the broken hip. Blue. That's what started all this for me. Remember when I got him home, he in his feces there were empty ketchup packets. And those people said, you know, this is the corner where everybody dumps them. They dump in that big old barn. And I guess they got sick of it because they tore that barn down. They tore that barn down. Yes, when I was in Tractor Supply and the people with the small children, they had loaded up a ton of dog food. I said, what are y'all going? Because gosh, we visit here. I mean, we visit. That's one thing about the South that is so cool. I mean, we you know what? We're just going to visit, and we're in the line. What are y'all doing? What are y'all buying? We're like, here's what we're buying. We'll tell you. We're not going. Excuse me, ma'am. It's none of your business. We're like, here's what we're buying. So they were going to go adopt a pit bull puppy from the shelter, and they already had 4 pit bulls at the house. Yeah. But we can fix this. We can totally end this with this pet overpopulation. We can do it in 10 years' time. It's going to take us that long. And that's like, and we have fantastic laws here in Louisiana. We have great laws, but the police don't even know them, because I've, called the police a million times and said, here's the law. They don't even know it. They don't even know this law exists. And these are good laws, but they're completely ignored because no one knows them. So if those laws were enforced on a regular basis, end chaining dogs. I mean, that's how we are here. We chain dogs like nothing doing. We have no problem chaining a dog. That doesn't sit well with me either. So that needs to be outlawed. I think they've done it in Arkansas. They don't allow it. Of course, everybody's doing it because I don't know if everybody's enforcing it. Hold on a second. I got a bunch of crying. I got to go check it out. I mean, Love's in there. She's doing the best she can. She doesn't know what. 10 puppies. She's got 10 puppies in there. Okay, that's a lot of puppies. And they are beautiful, though. I'll tell you that. They're all so black, and those long tails. And if they look like her, if they wind up looking like her, they are going to be gorgeous. Because this dog is absolutely beautiful. She's beautiful. So anyhow, we've got to figure this out. I mean, how many animal carcasses must we bury before our depraved carelessness and reckless impetuosity awakens us to the current ongoing disaster for which only we, the human beings who dwell here in Louisiana, the stewards of this state, can be blamed? What will it take for us to learn to honestly care for those whom we claim to love? When will true wisdom and true compassion take a hold of us? What will it take? What will it take? I was in the vet's office the other day because I had to take the pit up there. See about her foot. And there was this, I think they call them pits. I'm not sure. They're squatty and I don't know what they're called. They're these designer pit bull looking dogs, but I don't know if they call them pit bulls. They're smaller. They're squatty, like an English bulldog squatty, but not quite that squatty. I've seen this before, and this dog had a terrible, terrible time breathing. The dog was obese. First of all, that was a problem, but also the problem was the poor breeding. Okay, the poor breeding, and that dog could not breathe. And those people, let me tell you something. I'm telling you, and that's what's, and I'm not judging them because I didn't know either. I didn't know. But I don't know why we don't equate that. Like if you see a dog who can't breathe, that's the same thing when something's up. Like and when we can't breathe, we don't equate that. If a dog, even though the dog is flesh and bone, has lungs, heart, ribs, sinew, bone, etc., muscle, we don't equate that living being as having any connection to us whatsoever, even though our breathing apparatuses are almost identical. And surely the manner in which we breathe in and out is identical. Okay? So if the dog can't breathe, is huffing and chuffing, there's something wrong. And believe me, that dog, even when that dog would lose 20, that dog needed to lose 20 pounds. Even if that dog, and the people, they don't know. Oh God, look, we gotta, I don't know what to do. Maybe just do what I'm doing now. I don't know. Anybody got any ideas? Please tell me. And I'll try it. I'm willing to try anything that is civilized, you know? To go at it without sarcasm, without rancor, to do it in a manner that builds us, informs us as to this horrific dilemma in which we find ourselves, but also a dilemma in which we could extricate ourselves with little to no effort, quite frankly, and little to no expense. It's very easy. It really is. That's the thing that's appalling. It's frighteningly easy to get us to stop killing dogs and cats. It's very easy. It's not going to take much. It's not going to take much. It's just going to take education. I mean, and we got to write some tickets. Tickets have to be written. I got a speeding ticket a couple of years ago, and I'm thinking he's giving me a speeding ticket because I'm driving 10 miles. I'm the only one on the road, and I'm driving 10, 15 miles over the speed limit when I've just gone to a house and there got starving chained dogs, and you're giving me a ticket? When the only life I'm endangering, which I'm not because I'm a good driver, so nobody's life is endangered. No, I mean, you know, if a life is endangered, and a dog is a living, breathing, thinking, feeling, problem-solving being, as is a cat, as is a rabbit, as is a horse, as is a pig, as is a cow, is in physical distress, whether it be filth, covered in fleas, chained, that's distress. Chaining a dog, that puts a dog in distress. I mean, why do you want a dog if you're going to chain the dog? You know? I don't know why you would even want a dog. I mean, what a hassle, man. You got this being back there you don't even like, quite frankly, because you're not petting the dog because the dog's filthy all the time. And you never bathe the dog. Maybe fleas, maybe flea and ticks, so the dog's covered, stinks. The dog stinks. So you have a dog you don't even like. Why do you have the dog? And well, the answer is because we have so many free dogs. That's right. I didn't pay a dime for anybody in my house. It's all free. The pit was on the side of the road. Black dog, Craigslist. The car, almost cold when I got her. Who else? And we know love, you know, desperation came to me. And by the way, I got to thinking about that, how flattered I was that she saw me and recognized that I was a being who could help her rather than harm her. Because she ran to me. She ran to me. with enthusiasm and desperation. Because they know. Dogs and cats, horses, they know. They know a villain from a mile off. They know. So that family dumped 11 living, breathing, thinking, feeling, problem-solving beings. And that was something to see yesterday, her having these puppies one after the other, and what a good mama she is and how young she is. I wonder if y'all can hear them back there. Yes, I'm trapped in my house now because I can't, leave them. I'm too, it's going to take a minute for me to, because she doesn't, I get a feeling that she doesn't know how to organize them. I mean, it's 10 puppies. Who would know how to organize that? But she's so good, boy. She wants to stay in there. She doesn't want to come out. She'll come out and go use the bathroom, and then boom, she comes right back in. So I have to sequester everyone, which I do. Believe me, my dogs are not getting near those puppies, ever. The whole time they're here. They're not. 10 little bitty perfect beings. 10 perfect hearts. 10 perfect sets of lungs. Perfect feet, perfect tails. Beautiful, beautiful coats. Perfect ears. No one is deformed. Everyone's perfect. Just makes you think. Makes me think a lot. Always trying to figure out how to go at this from an angle that is not demeaning to us, but rather is uplifting and inspiring to us in the South. The South is, I'm not even going to talk about Texas because they're third world. It's next level there in Texas. Let me tell you something. It's next level. If you can believe that. I don't even want to look up the Texas numbers. But yeah, so you have 16. We got these 16 high kill shelters here in Louisiana. Don't you think that's a little bit much? Our population is 4.4 million. And we got most of our terrain, I'll tell you, it's rural. It's farmland, forest, timber tracts, a lot of water here, vast lakes. We got rivers. Okay? We got 16 high kill shelters. That's not counting the alleged no-kill shelters. Okay? And there's a ton of those. A lot more. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Seriously. That's ridiculous. And you can't love your Chihuahua and hate the Chihuahua at the shelter. You can't love your poodle and hate your neighbor's poodle. But we do. We totally do. We totally do. That's not my dog. That's not my dog. Golly. I've heard that so many times from the police and the sheriff's departments here in Northeast Louisiana. And now we're going to go into an unnatural segue, something lighter. And I'm going to talk about the esoteric ceremonies that take place at my house on a regular basis. The ceremonies include standing over, standing beside, shoes outside, sock shaking, and a crotch cuddle. We'll begin with the standing over ceremony, which, by the way, before we talk about that, Love is totally taken after the pit. She is not barking. So this is a miracle in itself. I cannot even say how delighted I am to report that, because I already got 2 barkaholics. I don't want another one. So she is ignoring the training of the cur and the big black dog and is submitting herself to the pit, which is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. She is not a barker. She's not a barker. It's awesome. Totally awesome. She's great. She's perfect. I can't wait till she's skinny again and we get to go walking. I can't wait. Also, can't believe that she had those puppies. I'm thinking August. But I gotta, I've been stockpiling newspaper. So I think I'm kind of ready for that. I mean, I think I am. There are 10 puppies. All right. Let's go with the esoteric ceremonies. Here's the standing over ceremony. This occurs when I'm on my back on the floor. It does not occur. Yeah, it can occur outside or inside. It does not occur when I'm in the bed. It does not occur when I'm on the sofa. It only occurs on the floor or on or outside on the grass. I have to be completely on my back. Okay, I can't be up on my elbows. I have to be completely on my back, and I have to be there. I have to have been on my back for the at least 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, and so here's what will happen: the cur will come, will walk across me, usually over my hips or thighs, never over my shins or knees, and never over my head, stomach, or chest. Only, only the hips are my thighs. And what she does is stand over me. That's what she does. I don't know what it means, but it is a ceremony. It is a solemn affair, and I let it happen. Is there enjoyment in it? Not for me. Is she completely relaxed? Yes. Is she totally happy? Yes. And she has taught the pit the ceremony as well. But the pit, when she does the standing over, it's over my head. And so the pit will come and stand over my head. And that's it. There is the standing over. I do not know what it means, but it is a ceremony. And it takes place here quite often. The next ceremony is the standing beside ceremony. This is done by the cur. She will, what will I be doing? I guess if I stand still, and this is only, it happens inside or outside, and I have to be standing still. Like if I'm standing looking at the plants, figuring out something, if I'm inside standing looking out the window, or has it ever occurred in the kitchen? No. It has only occurred in the living room, not in the bedroom, not in the bathroom. And what she will do is stand beside me and barely touch me with her hip. So her hip will be on my leg, and my legs can be bare, or I can be wearing pants. And that is the standing beside ceremony. If I pet her, she leaves. If I talk to her, she leaves. If I stand there, it lasts for as long as it needs to. Usually I am the one to break free of the ceremony. What is her demeanor? It is one of relaxed companionship. She is participating, both of us, in the standing beside ceremony. And listen, she just barely touches me. She's not leaning on me. It's just barely touching me. And now the shoes outside ceremony. We move to this. This is love's ceremony. She will get a shoe and take it outside and drop it. She will not go down on all fours and try to chew it, sniff it, lick it. It's just dropped. It is never retrieved. It is not buried in a hole. It is simply dropped. And then the next day, the same shoe, it doesn't occur. It only occurs with different pairs of shoes. So once one shoe has been taken outside, then that pair of shoes is safe. You can bring in the shoe and leave those two shoes on the ground or the floor. They will not be touched. But if you put down another pair of shoes, one shoe will be picked up, taken outside, and dropped. It will not be retrieved. It will be left where it is. And no other dog investigates it or cares about it. That is the shoe outside ceremony. And there's no chewing. The shoe is not destroyed in any way, shape, or form. The sock shaking ceremony is, again, the cur. This is her ceremony. She will take a sock. It's not a sock that has been freshly laundered. It has to be a sock that I've worn for at least, actually it's like all day, because if I wear a pair of socks, I go walk and take them off. She doesn't get those. The socks have to be worn for at least 4 hours. Then a sock, not both socks, just one sock, will be taken in her mouth. She will look at me and leave. Then I will look outside and I will witness the shaking of the sock, at which point in time it will be dropped. No one else will touch it. It will remain where it was deposited. That is the sock shaking ceremony. The crotch cuddle ceremony I have only experienced with dogs that have black lab in them. Not chocolate lab, not golden retriever, not yellow lab. Only ever with black lab. And this has been any dog that has black lab in him or her. And here's the way it goes. You will bend over and the black lab mix or black lab will come between your legs and the back. There will be no sniffing. It will just be boom, right through your legs, and you may be picked up, maybe not. It is a ceremony of enthusiasm, joy, and a sort of welcome. I do not know what is being welcomed, but something is being welcomed. The ceremony can also happen in the front. And this is only with a dog that has black lab in him or her. The dog will come in the front and put his or her nose perfectly in your crotch, in that area right there where their legs meet your crotch, and then bury their head. And then there is maybe some chuffing breathing when they get in there. Chuffing breathing is from delight. This is a ceremony which delights the participant, at least the canine participant. And there's no warning. This is a ceremony of surprise. You never know when the crotch cuddle will take place. Only that it will, because a black lab's in the house. This has been Dog Food with Katherine Abel. Thank y'all so much for listening to me. I'm trying to figure out how to fix everything, right? How to fix everything. I love dogs so much. Cats. I love animals. I want us to stop doing what we're doing to them. We just need to wake up. We don't even know. You realize that, right? We don't even know that we're doing what we're doing. We truly don't. We truly don't. We don't see them. We don't see them. We need to start seeing them. And in the heartache, because they love us. They love us so much. We don't. I learn every day how much my dogs love me, and it blows my mind. It blows my mind. Their loyalty, and they just think I'm the most precious, wonderful thing that ever existed. That's their opinion of me. Truly. And my gosh, I'm going to do my best. Now that I know, now that I see, I'm just going to do my very best to do right by every single one. I will keep y'all updated on Love's puppies and on Love's progress. She looks so much better now that she's skinny. But I'm giving you a heads up. Next episode is going to be about BB because I got to talk about him. I mean, that monkey is something else. Okay? Thank you very much for listening.